The air on Kale Prime tasted like burnt metal and fear. Smoke hung thick over the broken city, hiding the twin suns. Ji-hoon Lee crawled through the rubble, his hands raw and bleeding. His uniform was torn, stained with dirt and something darker. He moved slowly, carefully. Dominion snipers still hunted in the ruins. Every shadow could hold death. Ji-hoon was a medic, a human medic. His job was to find the hurt and try to fix them. But today felt different. Today the war felt endless. He'd just helped carry Sumin Park to safety after a blast. She was okay now, back at the med ship. But Ji-hoon couldn't stop. Not yet. Too many were still out here. Too many left behind. He turned a corner, ducking under a fallen stone arch. That's when he saw it, or rather him. A large figure lay half-buried under shattered crystal rocks. Not human. An alien. Very alien. It was a Zen warrior. Ji-hoon knew the Zen. Tall, reptilian people with tough, scaled skin the color of dried blood. They had 4 arms, though this one's lower pair were crushed under the rubble. Thick plates covered his chest and head like natural armor. But the armor was broken. Cracks ran across it, glowing faintly with trapped energy. One leg was twisted badly, bent the wrong way. The warrior's tail, usually strong and whip-like, lay limp and still. This was Kalen Vor. Ji-hoon recognized the markings on his shoulder plate. Kalen Vor was famous, a hero of the Zen collective. Or he had been. Before the Zen lost their war with the Velnhar Dominion. Before they became just another broken people in the Dominion's path. Kalen's eyes were open. One eye was clouded, damaged. The other, a deep, intelligent green, watched Ji-hoon. It didn't look scared. It looked empty, like the fight had gone out of him. His chest rose and fell slowly, painfully. He was breathing, but barely. Ji-hoon saw the problem immediately. The broken armor pressed against his ribs. Every breath hurt him. And his legs. Ji-hoon knew without looking. Paralyzed. The Dominion's pulse weapons did that. They fried the nerves, the connections between body and mind. The warrior was trapped inside his own broken shell. Ji-hoon took a step closer, his medic instincts kicking in. Check pulse, check wounds, stabilize. But then he stopped. He's Zen. The Zen had fought humans just 2 years ago, in the messy border wars before the Dominion became the bigger threat. There had been deaths, human deaths. Ji-hoon remembered Captain Min-seo Kim's words. Don't trust the Zen, Ji-hoon. They're proud. They see us as weak, as animals. Ji-hoon hesitated. His orders were clear. Save human lives first. This alien wasn't his responsibility. He should leave, report the location, move on. But Kalen's one good eye held him. There was no anger in it, no demand, just waiting to die alone in the dirt. Before Ji-hoon could decide, a new sound cut through the smoke. A deep, rumbling engine, a Dominion recovery vehicle. It rolled into the ruined square, smooth and silent on anti-grav pads. It was painted black and gold, the colors of the Velnhar Dominion. A figure stepped out, tall, thin, with sharp, angular features and skin like polished stone. Tarn Veln, a Dominion commander. He scanned the area with cold, calculating eyes. His gaze swept over Kalen Vor. He didn't flinch, didn't slow down. Tarn Veln spoke, his voice sharp and metallic, amplified by a device on his throat. General Kalen Vor, broken relic of a dead people. He didn't sound cruel, just bored, like he was commenting on a broken tool. Your collective surrendered. Your war is over. You are irrelevant. He turned to leave. Kalen tried to speak. A dry, rasping sound came from his throat. His good eye fixed on Tarn Veln. Begging? Or just demanding respect? Tarn Veln paused. He looked back, his stone-like face unreadable. Saving you serves no purpose, General, he stated flatly. It risks political trouble. Dominion does not waste resources on lost causes. He gestured dismissively at Kalen's broken body. Your time is finished. Lie here and fade. He walked back to his vehicle. The door hissed shut. The engine hummed. And the black machine lifted silently into the smoke-filled sky, leaving Kalen alone again. Ji-hoon felt sick. He'd seen Dominion cruelty before. But this was just ignoring someone who needed help, leaving him to die because it was inconvenient. Before he could move, another group arrived. 3 figures in white medical robes, Zen medics. They moved with purpose, scanning the rubble with handheld devices. They saw Kalen. One, a female with silver markings on her temples, Lyra Sen, knelt beside him. She ran a scanner over his chest, his legs, his head. The device beeped softly. Lyra Sen stood up. Her voice was calm, professional. Neural damage is severe, General. Spinal column crushed. Neural implants destroyed. Recovery, statistically improbable. She turned to her companions. We must prioritize the walking wounded. Resources are limited. Kalen made that rasping sound again. Louder this time. A plea. Lyra Sen met his gaze. There was no pity in her eyes. Only duty. Your sacrifice in the last war, it was honorable, General, but this body is beyond saving. Your spirit should seek the star current now. Do not cling to this broken vessel. She gave a small, formal bow, the Zen salute for the dying. Then, without another word, she and her team turned and walked away, heading towards a cluster of wounded Zen soldiers further down the street. They didn't even look back. Ji-hoon's fists clenched, statistically improbable, like Kalen was just a number, not a living being lying in the dirt. The Zen medics had walked past their own hero, their own leader, because his body was broken, because saving him was hard. Then came the scavengers. Grix mercenaries, ugly, hulking creatures with too many teeth dressed in mismatched armor. They moved like vultures, poking through the dead, grabbing weapons, armor plates, anything valuable. They saw Kalen, saw the expensive, broken armor. One Grix, larger than the others, kicked Kalen's unbroken leg. Still breathing, Scaleface? He grunted in rough trade tongue. He reached for the ornate chest plate. Kalen's good eye blazed with sudden fury. He tried to move, to fight, but his body wouldn't obey. Only his head jerked weakly. A low growl escaped his throat. The Grix laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. Stuck like a bug. Good. He yanked hard at the chest plate. It cracked free with a sickening sound. Kalen gasped, a sound of pure agony. The Grix tossed the plate to another mercenary. Worth a few credits, leave the rest. A useless meat. They looted what they wanted. A few more pieces of armor, a knife from Kalen's belt, then moved on, arguing over the spoils. They didn't care that he was alive. They only cared what they could steal from him. Kalen lay still. The fury in his eye was gone. Only exhaustion remained. The pain, the shame. He closed his eye, waiting, just waiting. Ji-hoon watched it all. His heart hammered against his ribs. The Dominion's cold logic. The Zen medic's clinical dismissal. The Grix's brutal greed. All had looked at a living being in desperate need. And walked away. Why? Ji-hoon thought, the question burning inside him. Why leave him? He remembered Captain Min-seo Kim's voice, sharp over the comms earlier. Ji-hoon, fall back. He's Zen, our enemy in the last war, not worth the risk. The words echoed the Dominion commanders. And not worth the risk, not worth the resources. Ji-hoon looked at Kalen Vore, not as a Zen general, not as a former enemy, just as a living thing, trapped, in pain, alone, watching the world move on without him, leaving him to die in the dirt. Ji-hoon remembered his first day of medical training. The old human instructor, his face kind but serious, had said, Medicine isn't about flags, Ji-hoon, or species. It's about the person in front of you. If they're breathing, they're worth saving. Always. The comms in Ji-hoon's ear crackled. Captain Min-seo Kim's voice, tight with stress. Lee, report! Where are you? We're pulling out in 5. Dominion patrols are closing in. Ji-hoon took a deep breath. The smoke stung his lungs. He looked at Kalen Vore. The alien's good eye was open again. Not pleading, just watching, waiting for the final verdict. Ji-hoon pressed the comm button. His voice was steady, calm. Captain Kim, this is Ji-hoon Lee. A pause. Then Kim's voice, impatient. Lee, status! Are you hit? Move your ass! Ji-hoon looked down at the paralyzed warrior, at the blood on the rubble, at the empty space where others had stood and refused. No, Captain, Ji-hoon said. He knelt beside Kalen, gently checking the pulse at his neck. It was weak, but there. I'm not hit, but I found a casualty. Kim's sigh was audible. Another human? Good. Stabilize and drag him back. But hurry! Ji-hoon shook his head, though Kim couldn't see. Not human, Captain. He met Kalen's gaze. The green eye held his. It's a Zen, General Kalen Vore. He's paralyzed, badly hurt. Silence on the comm. Then Kim's voice, sharp as a knife. What? Lee, are you crazy? He's Zen! They shot down Park's squad! They're not our problem! Leave him! I repeat, leave him! Fall back now! Ji-hoon felt the weight of the order, the fear. The Dominion patrols were coming. Staying was dangerous. Saving this alien could get him killed. Captain Kim was right. By every rule of war, by every practical thought, he should leave. He looked at Kalen Vore, at the utter resignation in that one green eye, the way the alien had stopped even trying to fight the Grix. Because no one came. No one ever came. Ji-hoon thought of Sumin Park, bleeding on the ground. He'd crawled through fire for her, because she was human, because she was his friend. But what if she hadn't been? What if she'd been Zen or Dominion? Would he have left her? No, Ji-hoon thought, the answer clear and simple. I would not. But he pressed the comm button again. His voice was quiet but firm, unshakable. Captain Kim, with all respect, no. A shocked silence. Then Kim's voice, furious. Lee, that's an order. Explain yourself. Ji-hoon gently lifted Kalen's head, checking for neck injuries. The alien didn't resist. His eyes stayed locked on Ji-hoon's face. I see a person, Captain, Ji-hoon said simply. Not a Zen, not an enemy, just someone who needs help. He looked around at the empty square, the paths where others had walked away. Everyone else declined. Everyone. He met Kalen's gaze. No one should die alone like this. He released the comm button. The captain's angry shouts buzzed faintly, unheard. Ji-hoon ignored them. He pulled his trauma sled from his pack, unfolding it with practiced hands. Okay, General, Ji-hoon said softly, keeping his voice calm, professional, like he was talking to any wounded soldier. My name is Ji-hoon Lee. I'm getting you out of here. He started the careful, dangerous work of moving the paralyzed alien onto the sled. Kalen watched him, the empty resignation in his eyes slowly, being replaced by something else, something fragile, something like hope. Ji-hoon didn't look back at the comms. He just worked, one hand after another, one careful movement at a time, saving a life the galaxy had already decided wasn't worth saving, because for Ji-hoon Lee, it always was. Ji-hoon's hands shook as he strapped the heavy buckles of the trauma sled. Kalen Vore lay still, his one green eye fixed on the smoky sky. The alien's breathing was shallow, each breath a small, wet sound. Ji-hoon knew time was running out, and Dominion patrols were near. Captain Kim's angry voice still buzzed faintly in his earpiece, but Ji-hoon had muted it. He couldn't listen to orders anymore, not when this life depended on him. He grabbed the sled's handles. The metal felt cold and rough. Kalen weighed a lot. Heavy bones, thick scales. Ji-hoon pulled. The sled scraped over broken stone. Kalen groaned, a low, painful rumble deep in his chest. Ji-hoon stopped immediately. "Easy," he said softly, though he wasn't sure Kalen understood. He adjusted the straps, cushioning the alien's broken back with his own rolled-up jacket. "I've got you." He started pulling again, slower this time. His leg muscles burned. Sweat stung his eyes under the smoke. Every few steps he glanced at Kalen. The alien's face was tight with pain, but he didn't make another sound. Pride. Ji-hoon guessed. Zen warriors didn't show weakness, but Ji-hoon saw it in the flicker of Kalen's eyelid, in the way his clawed fingers twitched against the sled. Halfway across the ruined square, Ji-hoon heard it, a sharp crack, like ice splitting. A chunk of crystal wall exploded beside him, showering him with sharp fragments. Sniper, Dominion. Ji-hoon dropped flat, throwing himself over Kalen's body. Shards of crystal cut his arms and neck. He felt warm blood trickle down his cheek. "Stay down," he whispered to Kalen, though the alien couldn't move anyway. His heart pounded like a drum. Where is it? He scanned the broken towers, high up. A dark shape moved on a rooftop. Another crack. This time, the shot hit the trauma sled's metal frame. Sparks flew. Kalen flinched, a sharp gasp escaping him. Ji-hoon saw the problem. The sled was bright orange, easy to spot. A target. "Need cover," Ji-hoon muttered. He fumbled for his sidearm, a small pulse pistol. Useless against a sniper, he was trapped in the open. Then, from his left, a different sound. Rapid thumps. Pulse rifle fire. Bright blue bolts streaked past, slamming into the rooftop where the sniper hid. Dust and stone rained down. The sniper ducked. Ji-hoon turned. Soo-min Park stood behind a half-crushed vehicle, her rifle smoking. Her dark hair was pulled back tight, her face smudged with soot. She fired again, forcing the sniper back. "Ji-hoon, move!" she yelled, her voice sharp with fear. "Now!" Relief flooded Ji-hoon. He grabbed the sled handles again. "Hold on," he told Kalen. He ran, zigzagging across the square, dragging the sled behind him. Bullets snapped past his head. One grazed his thigh, a searing line of fire. He stumbled but didn't stop. Soo-min's fire kept the sniper's head down. He reached the cover of a collapsed archway. Soo-min was there, reloading fast. "You idiot!" she hissed, pulling him deeper into the shadow. "What were you thinking?" Ji-hoon ignored the pain in his leg. He knelt beside Kalen. The alien's green eye was wide, shocked. "You came back," Kalen rasped in broken trade tongue. His voice was dry, like stones grinding together. Soo-min froze. She stared at the Zen warrior. "You speak?" Kalen ignored her. His gaze stayed locked on Ji-hoon. "Why, help me. Zen, your enemy." Ji-hoon ripped open his medkit. His hands were steady now. Training took over. He found a pressure bandage for his leg wound. The plasma graze was deep, bleeding fast. He pressed the bandage hard against the burn. "Enemies don't matter out here," he said, breathing through the pain. "Only hurt people." Soo-min crouched beside him, her eyes wide. "Captain Kim is furious, Ji-hoon. She ordered us to leave him." Ji-hoon taped the bandage in place. "Then she's wrong." He checked Kalen's straps. One had loosened from the run. He tightened it gently. "He's alive. That's all that matters." Soo-min looked from Ji-hoon to Kalen. The Zen warrior watched Ji-hoon with an intensity that made her shiver. It wasn't gratitude. It was confusion, like Ji-hoon had broken a rule he shouldn't know existed. "Extraction point is 2 clicks west," Soo-min said quickly. "But Dominion patrols are thick between here and there. We need to move now." She peered around the archway. "Sniper's quiet, for now." Ji-hoon nodded. He pushed himself up, ignoring the fresh stab of pain in his leg. "Help me lift the sled." Together they hauled the heavy sled over rubble and broken pipes. Ji-hoon took the front handles, Soo-min the back. Kalen's body shifted with every bump, but he stayed silent. Ji-hoon saw the sweat on the alien's scaled forehead. The pain was bad. They entered a narrow street lined with shattered buildings. Shadows stretched long and deep. Every step felt like walking through tar. Ji-hoon's leg throbbed. Blood soaked through the bandage, warm and sticky. His vision blurred for a second. "Don't pass out. Not now." "Ji-hoon," Su-min said quietly. "You're pale. That leg—" "I'm fine," he gritted out. But his next step faltered. He stumbled, his knee hitting sharp stone. The sled jerked violently. Kaylin cried out, a raw animal sound of pain. Su-min dropped her end. "Ji-hoon!" She grabbed his arm, pulling him up. Her face was close, her eyes scared. "You're not fine. You're bleeding out." Ji-hoon tried to stand. His leg buckled. He fell against the sled, breathing hard. "Just give me a second." Su-min didn't argue. She knelt, tearing open her med kit. "Sit! Now!" Her voice left no room for refusal. Ji-hoon sank down, his back against the cold stone wall. Su-min worked fast. She cut away the blood-soaked bandage. Ji-hoon hissed as cool air hit the wound, a raw, angry hole in his thigh, edges blackened from the plasma burn. She sprayed it with numbing foam. The sting faded to a dull ache. Then came the bio-foam, thick white paste that expanded to fill the wound, sealing it. It felt strange, like cold mud inside his leg. "Can you walk?" she asked, taping a fresh bandage over the foam. Ji-hoon tested his weight. Pain flared, but it was bearable. "Yeah, I can walk." Su-min nodded, but her eyes stayed worried. She turned to Kaylin. The alien had watched everything, his green eye unreadable. "You," Su-min said, pointing at Kaylin. "We're getting you out, but if you slow us down or try anything—" Kaylin cut her off. His voice was weak but clear. "Your medic. He bleeds for me." He looked at Ji-hoon, then back at Su-min. "Why?" Su-min hesitated. She glanced at Ji-hoon as if asking, "Should I?" Ji-hoon met Kaylin's gaze. "Because you're alive," he said simply. He pushed himself up, grabbing the sled handles. "And no one gets left behind, not ever." He started pulling again. Su-min took the back. They moved slower now, Ji-hoon limping badly, but they moved. Halfway down the street, the ground trembled. A deep thrum vibrated through the stone. Dominion heavy walker. Close. "Hide," Su-min whispered. They shoved the sled behind a pile of collapsed masonry. Ji-hoon and Su-min crouched beside it, hearts pounding. The thrum grew louder. A massive six-legged machine stomped into view, armored plates gleaming dully. Searchlights swept the street, illuminating dust and debris. Ji-hoon held his breath. Kaylin lay perfectly still, his one eye closed. The searchlight beam passed over their hiding spot. Ji-hoon saw the dirt on Kaylin's scales, the blood on his broken armor. For a terrifying second, he thought the light would catch the bright orange of the trauma sled. The beam moved on. The walker's heavy steps faded into the distance. Su-min let out a shaky breath. "Too close." Ji-hoon looked at Kaylin. And the alien's eye was open again. He was staring at Ji-hoon, not with fear, but with something deeper. Something like wonder. "You're kind," Kaylin whispered, the words halting in trade tongue. "Does this... for enemies?" Ji-hoon didn't look away. "We don't see enemies here," he said. His voice was low, firm. "Just people who need help." Kaylin was silent for a long time. The only sound was the distant crackle of fires and the rasp of his own breathing. Then very quietly, he spoke again. Not in trade tongue, in his own language. Ji-hoon didn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. It sounded like a question he'd never thought to ask. Su-min touched Ji-hoon's arm. "Extraction point 5 minutes. Can you make it?" Ji-hoon nodded. He gripped the sled handles. "Always." He pulled. Su-min pushed. Kaylin watched them, and his green eye reflecting the dim light. As they moved into the deeper shadows, Ji-hoon felt the alien's gaze on his back. Not judging, not waiting for him to fail, just watching. Like he was seeing something new in the universe, something he didn't have a word for yet. The pain in Ji-hoon's leg was sharp. The smoke stung his eyes. Dominion patrols were still out there, but he pulled the sled forward, step by limping step, because a life depended on it. And for Ji-hoon Lee, that was enough. Always enough. The Haven's reach smelled like antiseptic and burnt wires. Ji-hoon limped down the narrow corridor, the orange trauma sled bumping softly behind him. Kalen Vore lay still on it, his green eye half closed. The journey had taken hours. Dominion patrols, hidden traps, Ji-hoon's bleeding leg. It had been close. Too close. But they'd made it. Inside the medbay, bright lights hummed. Human medics moved quickly, checking monitors, cleaning tools. Captain Min-seo Kim stood near the door, arms crossed. Her face was hard, angry. She watched Ji-hoon push the sled toward an empty bed. "Lee," she said, her voice sharp. "Explain yourself. Now." Ji-hoon didn't stop. He began unstrapping Kalen. "He's hurt, Captain. Badly. Needs care." "Needs care?" Kim's voice rose. "He's Zen. They shot down Park's squad. They killed human soldiers. Why risk your life and Sumin's for him?" Ji-hoon gently lifted Kalen's head, sliding a soft pillow underneath. The alien didn't move, didn't speak, just watched Ji-hoon with tired eyes. "Because he's breathing, Captain," Ji-hoon said calmly. "That's all I need to know." Kim stepped closer. Her eyes were dark with frustration. "Oh, this isn't just about medicine, Lee. It's politics. The Zen Collective surrendered to the Dominion. They're broken, weak, helping their general. It sends the wrong message to everyone." Ji-hoon met her gaze. "The message is simple, Captain. If you're hurt, we help you. Doesn't matter who you are." Kim opened her mouth to argue, but Sumin Park stepped between them. Her hands were clean, but her uniform was stained with dirt and dried blood. "Captain," she said firmly, "Ji-hoon's right. We don't choose who lives or dies based on flags. We're medics, not politicians." Kim looked from Su-min to Ji-hoon. Her jaw tightened. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then she sighed, the anger seeming to drain out of her. "Fine," she said quietly. "Do what you need to do. But know this, Lee. You're responsible for him." "If he causes trouble, if he hurts someone, it's on you." Ji-hoon nodded. "Understood, Captain." Kim turned and left without another word. Ji-hoon and Su-min got to work. They cleaned Kalen's wounds. His broken armor plates were carefully removed. Underneath, his scaled skin was torn and bruised. Dark, thick blood, almost black, oozed from deep cuts. Ji-hoon cleaned it gently with saline. Kalen didn't flinch, didn't make a sound. But Ji-hoon saw the tension in his jaw, the slight tremor in his one working hand. The pain was terrible. Su-min ran scans. "Spinal damage is worse than we thought," she murmured, studying the screen. "Pulse weapon fried the main nerve bundle near his lower back. Legs probably gone for good." She looked at Ji-hoon, her eyes sad. And his neural implants, those little devices Zen used to boost their reflexes, they're shattered. Tiny pieces stuck in his brainstem. If we don't get them out..." She didn't finish. The meaning was clear. Infection. Death. Ji-hoon felt a knot in his stomach. "Can we do it? Remove the pieces?" Su-min nodded slowly. "Maybe. But it's delicate. Very delicate. Human tools aren't made for Zen anatomy." She touched Kalen's temple gently. "His brain is shaped differently. Wiring is alien. One wrong move." Kalen's green eye opened fully. He looked at Su-min, then at Ji-hoon. His voice was a dry whisper. "Do it." Su-min hesitated. "It's dangerous, General. You might not wake up." Kalen's gaze didn't waver. "Better than dying here. Slow." Su-min took a deep breath. "Okay, let's do it." They prepped Kalen for surgery. Ji-hoon stayed by his side, holding his large, clawed hand. It felt rough and cool. "You'll be okay," Ji-hoon said, though he wasn't sure he believed it. "Soo-min is the best." Kalen looked at him. "Your name?" "Ji-hoon Lee." "Yes. Remember, my name." Kalen's grip tightened slightly. "Kalen Vor." "I won't forget," Ji-hoon promised. The surgery took hours. Ji-hoon waited outside the operating room, pacing the narrow hallway. His leg hurt. His head ached. He thought about Kalen's words. "Remember my name." Why was it so important? Finally, Soo-min emerged. Her face was pale, her scrubs stained, but she smiled. "He's out of surgery. Made it." Ji-hoon let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "The implants? All out. Clean job." Soo-min wiped her forehead. "He's stable, but the spinal damage, that's another story. He won't walk again. Not like before." Inside the recovery room, Kalen lay still. Tubes and wires connected him to machines. His breathing was slow and steady. Ji-hoon pulled a chair close. He sat quietly, watching the alien sleep. Days passed. Ji-hoon visited Kalen every chance he got. He changed bandages, helped him sit up, fed him soft food through a straw. Kalen was quiet, distant. He rarely spoke, but his green eye followed Ji-hoon everywhere, watching, waiting. One night, Ji-hoon sat by the bed. It was late. The med bay was quiet. Kalen was awake, staring at the ceiling. "Can't sleep?" Ji-hoon asked softly. Kalen turned his head slowly. "Too quiet." Ji-hoon nodded. He understood. Silence could be loud when you were hurting. He thought for a moment. Then he began to speak. Not medical terms, not orders. Poetry. Simple words from an old Earth book he loved. "The stars are old, but new each night. They shine with gentle light. They do not ask who lives below. They simply glow and glow." Kalen's eye widened slightly. He didn't understand all the words, but he felt the rhythm, the calm. Ji-hoon kept going. "No wall divides the sky so wide, no enemy, no friend inside, just light that falls on all the ground, on broken heart and broken crown." Kalen closed his eye. A single tear escaped, tracing a path down his scaled cheek. Ji-hoon pretended not to see it. He kept reading, softly, gently. Later, Kalen whispered, "What is that?" "Poetry," Ji-hoon said, words that try to explain. Things hard to say. "Like mercy?" Kalen asked. His trade tongue was getting stronger. Ji-hoon smiled. "Yes, like mercy." Kalen was silent for a long time. Then, "Your people? You do this for all?" "All," Ji-hoon said. "Even enemies, especially enemies." Kalen shook his head slowly. Illogical, wasteful. But his voice wasn't harsh. It sounded confused. Ji-hoon leaned closer. "Maybe, but it's who we are. On Earth, we have a saying, no one gets left behind. Doesn't matter if you're hurt, scared, or even if you tried to kill us yesterday. If you're alive, you're worth saving." Kalen looked at him, really looked at him. "Why?" "Because," Ji-hoon said simply, "it's the right thing to do." Kalen closed his eye again, but this time his face wasn't tense. It looked peaceful. The next day, Zen healers came, 3 of them dressed in white robes carrying sleek medical cases. They walked with stiff pride. They stopped at Kalen's bedside. Ji-hoon stood up, blocking their view slightly. "Can I help you?" The lead healer, a female with silver markings like Lyra Sen, ignored Ji-hoon. She looked down at Kalen. "General Vor," she said in crisp Zen language, "we have come to assess your condition." Kalen opened his eye. He didn't speak. The healer scanned him with her device. It beeped softly. She frowned. "Neural pathways damaged beyond repair, spinal column crushed, recovery unlikely." She turned to leave. Ji-hoon stepped in front of her. "Wait," He needs care, physical therapy, support. The healer looked at him like he was dirt. General Vore chose dishonor in the last war. He surrendered to save civilians. Our laws forbid aiding the dishonored. Her voice was cold. His body is broken. His spirit should seek the star current. We will not waste resources on a lost cause. Ji-hoon felt anger rise in his chest. He's alive. He needs help. The healer's eyes narrowed. Your human sentimentality is weakness, medic. It blinds you. This one, she gestured dismissively at Kalen, has no place among the strong. Let him fade. They left without another word. Ji-hoon turned back to Kalen. The alien's eye was closed. His chest rose and fell quickly. Ji-hoon saw the wetness on his cheeks again. Not tears of pain this time, tears of shame, of being rejected by his own people. Ji-hoon sat down. He took Kalen's hand again. Hey, he said gently, look at me. Kalen opened his eye. It was full of sadness. Don't listen to them, Ji-hoon said firmly. You're not a lost cause. You're Kalen Vore. You saved civilians. That's brave, not weak. He squeezed the alien's hand. You're here, with us, and we don't give up on people. Kalen stared at him. Your people? They would care for anyone? Anyone, Ji-hoon said. Even Dominion soldiers if they were hurt and alone. He smiled a little. We have hospitals back home, big buildings full of light, doctors and nurses who help everyone, rich or poor, friend or enemy. If you walk through those doors hurt, they help you. No questions. Kalen's eye widened. No questions? Even enemies? Especially enemies, Ji-hoon said. Because if we only help friends, what kind of people are we? Kalen was silent for a long time. Then, very quietly, he whispered the words Ji-hoon had been waiting for. Your species is illogical. Ji-hoon grinned. Yeah, maybe we are. He patted Kalen's arm. But it's working out okay for us. Outside the medbay window, the stars shone bright and cold. Inside, a human soldier held the hand of a broken alien warrior. One offered simple words of hope. The other listened, hearing something new in the universe, the sound of mercy, offered freely, with no reason at all. Ji-hoon smoothed his uniform. It felt stiff and strange, not the usual medic scrubs, a clean, dark blue suit. Captain Min Seo Kim had given it to him. You look presentable, Lee, she'd said, but her eyes were worried. Just be careful what you say. He stood in a large room, cold metal walls, bright lights, long table down the middle. This was the Unity Station, a neutral place for talks. Humans, Zen, Dominion, and others sat around the table, all arguing, all tense. Kalen Vore sat near the end. He wasn't in the trauma sled anymore. He used a simple metal cane now. His legs still didn't work, but he could sit up straight. And his green eye watched everything. He looked tired, but strong. Ji-hoon stood behind his chair like a guard or a friend. At the head of the table sat Tarn Veln, the Dominion commander from Kale Prime. His stone-like face showed nothing, cold, calculating. He tapped a long finger on the table. This meeting is about the Zen Collective's surrender, Tarn Veln said, his voice sharp and metallic. General Kalen Vore broke the terms. All eyes turned to Kalen. Tarn Veln continued. He accepted aid from humans, our enemies. While wounded on Kale Prime, he let human medics touch him, heal him. This is not permitted under Dominion law. A Zen delegate, a tall male with deep blue markings, stood up. General Vore brought shame upon the Zen, he said loudly. His voice was full of anger. He surrendered to the Dominion before the final battle. He saved civilian lives instead of fighting to the death. Honor demanded he die with his soldiers. Kalen didn't flinch, but Ji-hoon saw his knuckles turn white where he gripped the cane. Tarn Veln nodded. Exactly. He chose weakness. Now he accepts help from the lowest species in this galaxy, humans. It proves his dishonor is complete. He pointed a long finger at Kalen. You are no longer Zen. You are nothing. You should have died on Kale Prime. The room buzzed with voices, agreement, disapproval. Ji-hoon felt his stomach twist. They were tearing Kalen apart, for saving lives, for being saved. Kalen slowly pushed himself up using his cane. He stood tall, though his legs trembled. His green eye swept the room. You speak of dishonor, he began, his voice rough but clear. You call me weak. He paused, looking at the Zen delegate. You say I should have died fighting? To prove what? That I care more for honor than for life? The Zen delegate glared. Honor is everything. Kalen shook his head. On the planet Xylos, Dominion forces surrounded a city full of Zen children. Old ones, sick ones, no soldiers, only civilians. His voice grew stronger. My orders were to fight to the last breath, to let the city burn with us. But I saw the children. He looked down at his useless legs. I chose to lower my weapon. I told Dominion, take the city but spare the people. I surrendered. Gasps filled the room. The Zen delegate looked furious. Traitor! Kalen ignored him. He looked at Tarn Veln. You took the city. You spared the people. But you exiled me, called me coward, because I valued life over victory. He turned to the whole room. They refused to save me on Kale Prime, not because I was wounded, but because I chose mercy once before. They feared what I became, a warrior who sees value in every life. Even yours. He pointed at Tarn Veln. Tarn Veln's stone face didn't change. Your sentimentality is dangerous, Vor. It weakens the strong. Kalen's eye moved to Ji-hoon. Then why did this one save me? He gestured at Ji-hoon. A human. A species you call animals. Weak. Unworthy. All eyes turned to Ji-hoon. He felt hot. Exposed. Captain Kim gave him a small nod from across the room. You can do this. Tarn Veln leaned forward. Medic Lee, explain yourself. Why risk death for a broken enemy? Why defy your orders? His voice was like ice. Give us one good reason. Ji-hoon took a slow breath. He didn't look at the important delegates. He looked at Kalen, at the alien who had cried over poetry, who had been abandoned by his own people. I saw a person, Ji-hoon said. His voice was quiet but steady. Simple words, true words. Not a Zen, not a general, not an enemy from an old war. He met Kalen's green eye. Just someone who needed help, someone lying in the dirt, waiting to die alone. He paused. The room was completely silent. My training says, if they're breathing, they're worth saving. Always. Ji-hoon shrugged, a small, humble gesture. I didn't think about politics, or who was watching, or if it was worth the risk. I just saw a person who needed a hand. He looked at Tarn Veln. Would you leave your own father to die like that? Just because it's inconvenient? Tarn Veln didn't answer. His stone face stayed blank, but something flickered in his cold eyes. Surprise? Doubt? But Kalen placed a heavy, scaled hand on Ji-hoon's arm. This human, he said loudly, saw what none of us could see. He saw me. Not my rank, not my species, not my broken body, just me. He looked around the table. You called him weak for helping me. But his weakness showed more strength than all your armies combined. He carried me out of hell when no one else would even look, because he believes every life has value. He turned back to Ji-hoon. His voice softened. You carry the heart of 10 warriors, Ji-hoon Lee. Remember that. Then Kalen did something shocking. He reached under his robe, pulled out a small object. It was a knife, but not like human knives. The handle was carved from dark, smooth stone. The blade shimmered with a soft blue light. The honor blade, a Zen delegate whispered, shocked. Only given to the bravest warriors. Kalen held it out to Ji-hoon. This blade is Zen tradition. given only to those who show true courage, not the courage to kill, but the courage to care. His green eye held Ji-hoon's. You saved me when the universe said I wasn't worth saving. You saw the person I am, not the warrior I was. Ji-hoon stared at the blade. It felt warm in his hands, heavy with meaning. I don't deserve this, he said quietly. Kalen shook his head. You do, more than any Zen I know. He placed his large hand over Ji-hoon's on the hilt. Keep it, so you never forget what you did, what humans can do. Ji-hoon nodded, unable to speak. He carefully tucked the blade into his uniform pocket. It felt like carrying a piece of hope. Tarn Veln stood up. His voice cut through the silence. This changes nothing. The Zen Collective remains under Dominion rule. General Vore remains dishonored. But his voice lacked its usual sharpness. It sounded tired. The meeting is over. People began to leave. Chairs scraped. Voices murmured. Ji-hoon helped Kalen sit back down. The alien warrior looked exhausted, but his green eye was calm. Peaceful. Captain Kim walked over. She didn't look angry anymore. She looked proud. Good job, Lee, she said quietly. She glanced at Kalen. Both of you. Kalen looked up at her. Your medic? He speaks truth. Simple truth. Kim nodded. That's Ji-hoon. He sees things clearly. She turned to leave, then paused. General Vore, what happens now? Kalen looked at Ji-hoon. Now? I learn to walk with this cane, and I learn what it means to be saved. He touched Ji-hoon's arm again. He showed me a new way, a better way. Later, in the quiet med bay aboard the Haven's Reach, Ji-hoon sat with Kalen. The alien was tired after the long meeting. His breathing was slow. Today was hard, Ji-hoon said, handing him water. Kalen took the cup. His hand shook slightly. Harder for you. Standing before them, speaking truth. He sipped the water. They called you weak. Ji-hoon shrugged. Let them. Strength isn't about shouting the loudest. He thought of the honor blade in his pocket. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard. Kalen was silent for a long time. Then he spoke, his voice barely a whisper. On Zen, we teach our young that mercy is a flaw, that only the strong deserve to live. He looked at his broken legs. But you showed mercy to the weakest, to me. He met Ji-hoon's eyes. Though maybe your way is stronger. Ji-hoon smiled. It's not about strong or weak, Kalen. It's about seeing someone who needs help and giving them your hand. He patted the alien's shoulder. Anyone can do it, if they choose to look. Kalen closed his eye. A small, almost human smile touched his scaled lips. I choose to look now. Outside the window, stars glittered cold and bright. Inside, a human soldier and a broken alien warrior sat in quiet understanding. The galaxy still fought its wars, but in this small room, something new had taken root. Something simple, something powerful, the quiet strength of a hand held out in the dark.